Hello, Connective. I have the Getting Into the Vortex cards again. Just looking for one card to draw from the Getting Into the Vortex deck. Oh, you said one card. That was like four. One card. One card from the... Ooh, bunch more cards almost jumped out. Just want one. Just one to talk about. Getting into the vortex. My relationships are supposed to feel good. Here, let me read it. Your life is supposed to feel good to you. Before your birth, you knew that the primary component of your physical experience that would offer the greatest value for your personal and collective expansion and joy would be the relationships that you would experience with each other. It was your plan to relish the diversity of your relationships and to choose from them the details that would make up your creations, and here you are. Sometimes we choose situations that don't feel so good, and a lot of times there might be a life lesson or something in there. The reason why you're at that moment with that person or experiencing that thing with that person. But overall, the relationship itself isn't supposed to be like sometimes people think back on relationships and they think of them as like a waste of time. And I think most of the time that's because they just aren't acknowledging what they may have learned, because they either didn't learn it yet, hadn't figured it out, or don't want to learn it, kind of thing. But even looking back, a lot of times, some part of that relationship was supposed to feel good. If it didn't, you might have to give yourself a break. I mean, two people are in the relationship. The person that was in it that may have affected it the most. Sometimes people can really do damage to relationships, but, the other person is in it too. So a lot of times, even if you're not really doing anything, you're still in the relationship. And if it doesn't feel good, you really have to think about that. You really have to think about where you've allowed yourself to be and, how you've allowed yourself to feel. Because, there is a lot of different ways of looking at things. And I know sometimes things are not, it's very clear that they're not positive things. And I'm not suggesting that you think of things that, don't feel good as things that feel good or anything like that. But what I am saying is to, take note of which of your relationships don't feel so good. The friends that call you only when they want to talk about themselves or when they need some kind of advice or just, to vent or whatever, I mean, some of you guys have that person where that when your phone is ringing that they want something. So if that doesn't feel good, if there's nothing that you're getting out of those relationships, you may want to consider also what else you're giving, because a lot of times they're not just coming out of coincidence, they're getting something out of it. They're getting something from you. And, those relationships that do feel good, reach out to those people, spend a little bit more time with them. Don't have time so much for the relationships that don't feel good, because they are supposed to feel good. That's why we didn't decide to come down on this planet and say, I want to have a bunch of crappy relationships and I want to really be sad all the time and all this. No. No. We wanted to have a physical experience in a physical body, relating to other people. I want to be able to hug someone or hold someone's hand. That's a huge part of it. So again, if you have relationships where someone doesn't want to hold your hand or, anything like that, maybe lean more towards something that does feel better, or spend time with those people that do feel better. The more time you do that, the more time you spend with the relationships that do feel better, the more you invite the universe to give you relationships that feel better, to bring in more relationships that feel better, to have your relationships that feel better feel even better. So think about that until we meet again.